quiet, calculated satisfaction as an underestimated husband lets the cheating wife's greed and lies collapse under the weight of patiently gathered truth. Throwaway for obvious reasons. This might not make me popular, even here on Pro Revenge, but a buddy of mine heard the story and said it belonged. So here it is. This all happened a few years back. Names changed, details fudged, just enough to keep the lawyers away. I was married for 12 years to Sarah. We met in college. She was the outgoing marketing major with the big laugh and bigger dreams. I was the quiet engineering guy who spent weekends tinkering in the lab. Opposites attract, right? We got married right after graduation, moved to a mid-sized city in the Midwest, bought a little starter house in a decent suburb. 2 kids came along pretty quick. Emma, then 2 years later, Jack. For the first 8 years or so, things were solid. I climbed the ladder at a defense contractor, steady promotions, good bonuses. By year 9, I was pulling in low 6 figures, sometimes more with overtime and stock options. Sarah worked part-time in marketing after the kids, but mostly she handled the home front. We weren't flashy, drove used cars, vacationed at state parks, saved aggressively for college funds and retirement. I thought we were building something real. Then the cracks started showing. It wasn't one big fight. It was 1,000 little things. Sarah started complaining I was always at work. I'd come home after a 10-hour day, kids in bed, and she'd be on the couch scrolling Facebook, sighing about how lonely she was. I'd point out that the mortgage, the 529 plans, the orthodontist bills for Emma, all that didn't pay itself. She'd roll her eyes and say, I didn't get it. Emotional stuff, connection, whatever. Around year 10, she got a new circle of friends, mostly stay-at-home moms from Jack's preschool, married to doctors, lawyers, startup guys. Suddenly, our house was too small, our cars too old, our vacations too cheap. She started dropping hints about moving to the better neighborhood, private schools, European trips. I crunched the numbers and said we could swing it if we dipped into savings, but I wasn't comfortable leveraging everything for lifestyle inflation. She called it cheap. I called it responsible. We stopped talking about it and started sleeping in separate rooms. That's when I noticed the changes in her. New clothes, gym membership she actually used, late girls' nights that turned into 2 a.m. Uber drops, phone always face down, password changed. I wasn't stupid, but I also wasn't ready to blow up my kids' lives without proof. So I did what any engineer would do. I gathered data. Quietly. First, I cloned her phone backup to an old laptop. Nothing dramatic at first, just more text to a number labeled Jen Work. But Jen didn't exist in her contacts before 6 months ago. I ran the number, belonged to a guy named Mark, mid-40s, divorced, owned a boutique real estate firm downtown. Flashy type, Instagram full of boats, bottle service, closing deals. Texts started innocent, work advice, then flirty, then explicit. Plans to meet at hotels during lunch breaks. Photos I wish I could unsee. I didn't confront her. I printed everything, dated, time-stamped, stored in a locked fire safe at the office. Next, I started tracking finances. We'd always had joint accounts, but she had a credit card I rarely looked at. Statements showed charges at bars I'd never heard of, hotels an hour away, lingerie stores, thousands over months. Again, printed, filed. The kids were my priority. Emma was 10, Jack 8. Smart, sensitive. They noticed Mom was busy a lot. Dad was quieter. I made sure every pickup, every soccer game, every bedtime story was me. Built credit in the dad bank. Sarah started pushing for separation around month 8 of the affair. Said she was unhappy, needed space to find herself. Suggested I move out, for the kids' sake, keep things stable. Translation, she wanted the house, the routine, Mark on weekends. I played dumb. Let's try counseling first. Bought time. Counseling was a joke. She spent sessions blaming me for emotional neglect. Therapists saw through it eventually, but by then I'd hired my own lawyer, a shark named Dana, recommended by a coworker who'd been through the ringer. Dana's advice, don't tip your hand. Let her think she's winning until we can't lose. The
The plan formed slowly. First move, I requested a voluntary reduction in hours at work, told my boss I needed work-life balance after marital issues. They accommodated, dropped me to 32 hours a week, salary cut by 20%, overtime gone, bonuses prorated. On paper, my income tanked. Sarah noticed immediately, started complaining about money being tight. I shrugged. Company cutbacks. We'll manage. She ramped up the pressure. We can't live like this. Pushed harder for divorce. I agreed to mediate. For the kids. Mediation is where people like Sarah shine. No judge, no discovery, just good faith splitting. She came loaded. Her lawyer, a smug guy in a shiny suit, presented her proposal. She keeps the house, equity mostly mine from pre-marriage savings and my payments, primary custody, kids with her, me weekends, child support based on my current reduced income, a lot of allowance. She gets half my 401k, half the savings. Her rationale? I'd checked out years ago, worked too much, ironically, neglected her emotionally. She'd been the primary parent. My income drop proved I was unreliable. I sat there quiet while she painted me as the villain, nodded sadly when appropriate. My lawyer, playing along, looked concerned. We left mediation with her thinking she'd won the lottery. House paid off in 10 years, fat checks every month, kids mostly with her so Mark could play stepdad on weekends. She filed officially 2 weeks later. Now the real work began. Dana subpoenaed everything: phone records, bank accounts, credit cards. Sarah's lawyer objected. Privacy, irrelevant. Judge sided with us. Infidelity impacts custody and alimony in our state if it affects the children. Discovery hit Sarah like a truck. Texts, hotel receipts, photos of Mark's car in our driveway when I was working late. Evidence she'd introduced the kids to him as mommy's friend way too early. But the masterstroke was finances. See, while Sarah thought my income had dropped to $80,000, reality was different. My company had a little-known policy: salary reductions for personal reasons could be temporary, with back pay and bonuses deferred into a separate account if you returned to full-time within 24 months. I'd quietly arranged with HR and my boss, who hated cheaters, his own ex did the same, to bank the difference. Every missing dollar from the cut hours went into a deferred compensation plan, untouched, growing. On paper for the last year, $80,000. Actual earned and deferred, $160,000 plus stock options vesting, plus annual bonus queued for payout upon return to full status. Total accessible assets, way more than she knew. We disclosed it all in discovery, properly, legally. Sarah's face when her lawyer showed her the statements, priceless. She went ghost white, started texting me apologies. We can work this out. Too late. Court date came 6 months later. Family court, packed gallery, mostly other divorcing couples waiting for their turn. Smelled like bleach and desperation. Sarah showed up looking polished, new haircut, designer suit, trying for devoted mom vibe. Mark wasn't there, smart. Her lawyer opened strong, portrayed me as absent father, workaholic who had abandoned the marriage, now conveniently poor. Judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, listened patiently. Then Dana stood. "Your Honor, we'd like to present evidence regarding petitioner's claims of financial hardship and respondent's alleged neglect. Slide 1, my actual earnings history, consistent 6 figures for 8 years. Slide 2, the reduction, with company emails confirming it was voluntary, temporary, at my request, due to family stress. Slide 3, deferred compensation statements, over $100,000 banked in the last year alone. Gallery murmured. Sarah's lawyer objected, relevance. Judge overruled. Dana continued. Petitioner claims respondent earns insufficient income for fair support, yet respondent deliberately reduced hours to spend more time with children during marital discord. Timesheets show he was primary caregiver for school pickups, doctor visits, extracurriculars for the past 18 months. Proof, calendars, school records, signed forms. Then the affair evidence. Texts read aloud, redacted for kids' sake. Hotel charges on joint card. Photos. Sarah started crying, Not subtle tears, full shoulder shakes. Judge's face hardened. When Dana revealed Sarah had been coaching the kids to say, "Daddy's never home," in preparation for custody eval, recorded calls, text to friends bragging about it, the gallery actually gasped. Final blow, Mark's background. Prior divorce for cheating, outstanding child support arrears on his own kids. Dana closed. Respondent seeks joint custody, 50-50, the marital house sold, proceeds split equitably after accounting for his pre-marriage down payment. No alimony. Petitioner earns comparable income and engaged in misconduct. Judge didn't even recess long. Ruling from the bench. Joint legal and physical custody. Kids choose as they age. They were old enough to speak to the evaluator. Both wanted equal time with dad. House sold. I got my pre-marriage equity back first.